so you wrote an article, and we always look at this when we have you on. Things I think I know about the Browns. The unspoken, undefined, underlying issue plaguing the Browns. The first thing. Second, Kevin Stefanski's uncharacteristic decision-making against the Raiders, and the offensive lines making the same mistakes. Let's start with the line. Take us through what your thought is with that.
Well, every team that they see is running stunts and games against them and twists up front, and they can't communicate enough to handle it. It's the same mistakes every week. They can't pass off one blocker to the next guy, and you're getting free runners at the quarterback. It's something that should have been fixed weeks ago. I understand it takes some level of continuity, but when you see the same mistakes happening over and over, that's when you get really frustrated. Like, you get young guys that are going to make mistakes early, but when it's every week and you're going to see the same thing this week because the Commanders have watched tape and they're going to say, well, look at it. I mean, they can't handle stunts. They can't handle, loopers coming around. But the games that defensive lines play to disrupt offensive lines have given the Browns a really, really difficult time. And it's just a lack of communication and experience.
Kevin Stefanski and his uncharacteristic decision making with the Raiders. Take us through that.
Yeah, the end of the first half, he's very aggressive often, like depending on his defense, you'd seen Hopkins stripe a 56-yarder that probably would have been good from 70, hit halfway up on the net earlier in the half. You have a chance to kick a 58-yarder with about a minute 30 left in the half. Now, I know he was playing conservative there, trying to avoid a double dip, going into the half and out from the Raiders, but passing up on that field goal attempt on a guy that you just gave an extension to, who's 12 of 13 from over 50 yards, seemed rather silly to me and not a move that he would normally make. Then at the end of the game, he did kind of the same thing, and I agreed with the commentator on the TV, Ross Tucker, who said, you don't call that timeout there. It makes that the last play of the game. I'm talking about the last fourth down in the fourth quarter. If you hang on to that timeout and just run the play, it doesn't give the Raiders an ability to call the perfect play, which they ended up actually doing and calling a great play to defend what the Browns were running. And B, if you do not get or convert that fourth down, you have another bite at the apple. If you can get a 3 and out, you have 3 timeouts left. So I thought there was poor time management there, uncharacteristic of him. And the lack of aggressiveness on the field goal, I thought, was also uncharacteristic.
All right, and the top one was unspoken, undefined, underlying issues that's plaguing the Browns.
This is the biggest one for me, Dave. There are tangible things wrong with this team, but there's something intangible wrong as well. Like something we can't see that's going on in the locker room. I'm not saying it's one thing in particular, but when you get a bunch of individuals struggling to do things that they normally do, there's something going on. If you notice last year, this was an easy team to root for. They were very likable. They had high energy, high emotion, passion. They played together. They played for each other. You're not seeing that right now. It feels like a bunch of individuals out there and not a team. And there's something underlying that is an issue here. And we don't know what that is at this point. I've said this before, momentum from one season to another doesn't carry over, and just having the same players doesn't make you the same team. You have to recreate that. They need a big win or a galvanizing moment or something to bring them together if they want to turn this around, because right now they appear to be just a bunch of individuals.
Yeah, and disjointed at that as well, and I think that's kind of what you're getting at.